Black Friday is 6 weeks away, and most e-commerce brands are going to make the same mistake, waiting until November to prepare their Google ads. Meanwhile, smart brands are already warming up their Google ads right now. After generating over $10 million in sales through Google ads, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step process I'm going to take for my brands and my clients' brands this Black Friday. My name's Amin, and I've been running Google ads for e-commerce for 6 years now. I scaled my own brand in under a year to 7 figures, and during Black Friday, Cyber Monday periods, I've managed high ad spend. This isn't going to be just basic advice like increase your budget. I'm going to literally walk you through the exact step-by-step system, from analyzing last year's data to nitty-gritty tactics you can apply to your ad account. So make sure you have a pen and paper ready, because this is going to be very valuable. Let's get into it. So your first step is you need to set a baseline with last year's data. This is very important. A lot of people skip this step because, it's a lot of data analysis and it could be seen as boring, but trust me, it's very, very important. And as shown in the screen, what you want to do is you want to look at Shopify analytics. So look at your hard metrics like AOV, conversion rate, revenue, how much did you make through the period of October to November, and just know when did the spike begin, which week, which day specifically. Take notes of that. Furthermore, what you want to also do is look at your Google ads performance. Analyze the overall period of BFCM, so that whole week, that whole weekend as well, and just notice when did you begin to spend more, when did conversion rates begin to increase. These data points will be very, very important for you. Also, a very quick tactic that's very powerful, not a lot of people know about it, is competitor auction insights. So in Google ads, if you go to the auction insights, click on shopping, you'll be able to see which new competitors are taking up the auction, how much of them are taking up market share, because ultimately Google is a very competitive space, so you want to be aware of who your competitors are and how you can beat them. And a lot of this is going to come down to optimizing the feed, and we're going to discuss that shortly. And if you're sitting here thinking, this is long, I don't even know where to start, this is exactly what I do for brands. So book a call using the first link in the description, and I'll be more than happy to go over your last year's data, and we can really have a very strong game plan going into Q4 and BFCM period. Now, step 2 is setting up early warm-up campaigns. You don't want to start too late. 3 to 4 weeks before BFCM is really ideal. So what you want to do is, like discussed here, you want to set up a landing page for early access. You just want to tease the audience. And I gave a really good analogy. Think of this as a preheating an oven. You want it to be ready when it's time to cook. So right now, you're just ensuring that your customers and prospects are anticipating a very good sale. And this is done through demand gen campaigns. So what you want to do is run a full build DG campaign. Make sure you have statics and creatives that are in accordance to the sale you're going to run, and just do a small budget here. You don't need to do anything crazy. 10-20 bucks a day will be great. And focus, this is important, right? You want to focus on the storytelling and just make people excited, because they're going to be anticipating a very strong sale. So this is going to be a very good way for us to get a lot of data for, which we can retarget during the BFCM period and after it, and I'll show you that soon. So this is where it gets juicy and exciting. This is where we now go into the search campaigns and we begin to optimize them. And there's a few things we can do. Step 1 is scheduled headlines. So this is a feature in Google ads that not many people know about, but what you can do is schedule headlines for a certain time frame. And how it works is you want to go to assets, headlines, then create BFCM specific headlines. So for example, 50% off BFCM sale. Obviously, you're going to test multiple angles, and then what you want to do as well is you want to schedule it for the BFCM period, but also you want to pin it to position 2. That way, whenever the ad is running, users are always going to see that specific headline in the second position, because typically there's 3. There's the first one, second one, third one. You can play around with it, but typically position 2 is great. This is going to be very important. Also, you want to create promotions and other extensions that I'm going to discuss shortly, but this is really going to allow Google to rank you higher than others, because your quality score and your landing page experience is going to be better, right? Because people know what they want. You're providing them with what they want. So what does that mean? Expected CTR is going to go through the roof, and Google's going to reward you for that by ranking you higher than competitors. So going deeper into the extensions for BFCM, this is very important, and I really recommend that every single brand owner does this. First thing you want to do is a promotion extension. This obviously is going to be relative to which sale you're running, whether that's a BOGO, percentage off, free shipping, whatever that looks like. You want to select Black Friday, occasion, and discount type, and then you want to ensure that it's displayed on the exact date you want it to run. You don't want it to run over or before. So there's one thing called promotion extension. Another thing is styling extension. So if you have a BFCM landing page or specific landing page that you want to test or run during this period, you want to add this to the campaign. And obviously you will use unique final URLs and set this up 2 weeks before. By using unique final URLs, the user instantly knows that, okay, this is something to do with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And obviously, like I said in the previous slide, the headline will help out with that as well. Lastly, price extensions is going to be really good, because users, they just want to understand, like, what's the price before I even land on the website? Like, can I even afford this, or is this something I'm interested in buying? So you really want to showcase, your products with prices, and you want to really just show off the sale you're running, right? So the percentage of new sale price compared to how much it used to be. What's really important is, like I said, Google's a very competitive space. So by doing this, you're taking up more real estate. So what does that mean? mean more people. You just have more visibility overall. But unfortunately, this requires a manual update, so it can't be scheduled. But just take note of it and make sure you do it. Set a reminder on your phone if needs be. So this is where it gets really exciting, right? This is where we now begin to optimize the product and the feed. This is very, very important for shopping. If you're running PMAX, standard shopping, whatever that looks like. Now, again, this is going to be relative based on the sale you're running, whether that's a bundle deal, percentage off, BOGO, whatever that looks like. But what you want to do is for your shop, for your products, you want to include some sort of headline or text that alludes to the sale. So you can add Black Friday special or something like that, because typically what you find is search volume goes up. It goes through the roof during this period for certain product. People like to type in like Black Friday specials. So you really want to include that in the title of your product, in the GMC. So that way Google automatically is going to rank you higher, because it's all about relevance, right? You're providing what people are looking for. Also, another thing is you want to make sure that your backend, Shopify backend, and the GMC, Google Merchant Center, is aligned. So the sale price that's on Shopify is congruent with the sale price that's on GMC. So this way everything runs smoothly. And again, people are just able to see what the sale is and what the offer you're running is. But this is very important because this is how you're going to be able to really just scale hard and just get more market share. This is how you're going to be able to rank higher than competitors. Very important to do this for the product titles, but also important to do this for the product descriptions as well. So what's really important is adding strong visuals. So if you have Black Friday, Cyber Monday related images, or just images where you have the sale or just something different that's unique, definitely you want to test that, because people are very visual. We're all visual, right? We love to see before we click on something. So the title and description is important, but the image is what's going to really catch the person's attention. So really make sure that you have strong statics and images going into this period, and definitely leverage that to your advantage. So another key feature that we've discussed lightly in this presentation and video is this GMC promotions. GMC is really just the middleman between Shopify and Google Ads. This is where a lot of the optimization is going to happen for your products. So obviously you want to ideate with which offer you can run, which sale you can run. Once you have that in GMC, you're able to create a promotion. You'll submit it for approval. And this is why it's important to do this in advance, because sometimes it can take a few days, and then you want to test it at checkout. Once it's all live and running, you're good to go. So now automatically on Google Shopping, when somebody searches up your product, they're going to see the sale, the new image, the promotion, the title, description, all of these things. And it's just going to improve the CTR and just the landing page experience and just how relevant your ad is to what they're searching for, and ultimately just improve KPIs overall. It is important to note that promotions must actually work at checkout, because Google will just disapprove you. So make sure you've tested it on your backend, it's working there, implement it into GMC, and you're good to go. All right, let me share some source with you guys. Not many people know about this, but here's an advanced tactic that I use. It's called seasonality adjustments. So basically what you're doing is you're telling Google when to expect conversion rate changes and when to expect more traffic. So where to find it? On Google Ads, go to tools and settings, budget and bidding, and then seasonality adjustments. And then obviously this depends on when you're going to start the sale. I think a few days before Black Friday would be great, or just like one day before. And then you want to set the exact start and end times. This is why it's also important to do research on last year's data and the year before, just so you understand exactly when you see these increases in conversion rate, traffic, sales. Once you have that, you want to give a reasonable conservative input. So 35-40% for expected 50% increase. Then the impact is during this time frame, Google's going to anticipate more traffic, more conversions. So it's going to bid more aggressively during this time, and you're going to be able to spend more and really just automate this process. And then once it ends, it's going to automatically just reduce the bids and you're not going to overspend. So this is a very cool feature, because sometimes, we're overwhelmed during this period, so we forget. So make sure you definitely implement this, and only use this for promotions 14 days or shorter, because this is the difference between capturing sales immediately versus ramping up slowly. So that's very important. All right, so this is where it gets interesting, because everyone's so focused on the BFCM period and the anticipation of it that usually people forget about post BFCM. And this is where a good amount of money is made for people that really know the stuff. This is why everything's coming full circle now. That's why in previous slides we discussed creating the audiences, doing research and all of these things, creating that demand gen campaign as well. So what you want to do after BFCM, like the week after, a few days after, is create a remarketing list for the people that did visit the website and their landing pages but didn't buy. And then you want to just have some congruent messaging. I gave some examples here, and like I said here, launch immediately after Cyber Monday, around 7 to 10 days, and then just use a smaller discount, so that way it's realistic. People know you're not just like abusing BFCM or the Black Friday period. And yeah, typically for myself, my brands, my clients' brands, it generates an extra 10 to 15% additional revenue, and it's just pretty much free money. It's a no-brainer, because people need multiple touch points to buy. So definitely give this a test, and I'm confident that you'll see results with it. To wrap everything up and to really give you a nice slide, and make sure you screenshot this and start ASAP. This is a timeline checklist of what you need to do. So 6 weeks before, around 6 weeks, depending on when you're watching this, you want to pull last year's data and run auction insights, plan offers and bundles. 4 weeks before, you want to launch that demand gen campaign just to warm up the audience so that they kind of anticipate what's coming. And then you want to set up some early bird opt-in pages. 3 weeks before, you want want to create the BFCM products, optimize the feed like we discussed using the tactics I discussed as well in this video, and then begin to set up the scheduled headlines and extensions. 2 weeks before, you want to submit the GMC promotions. You want to make sure you test everything so nothing breaks when it's live and you're in that period. And then you want to set up the seasonality adjustments. Don't activate it yet, just schedule it for that period. 1 week before, what you want to do is final campaign structure review. Make sure you kind of mapped out how aggressively you want to scale during this period. And then just test, the back end as well. Make sure you have stock as well. This is very important. It's not Google ads related, but make sure you actually have stock to fulfill how many sales you're going to get. This is very important. And then during the BFCM week, print money. The seasonality adjustments will automatically update. You want to monitor the budget as well. And don't panic. This is very important. Don't panic. And also remember, there's always a conversion lag. So you won't see the data fully until a few days after. Because, this is something we all struggle with, but conversion tracking isn't as optimal as it used to be. But don't panic, just trust the process, trust the foundation as well. And then during this period, you will see when you look back 7 days after, you'll see the very, very strong lift in conversions. And then lastly, post BFCM, you want to launch retargeting campaigns for non-buyers. And then you want to make sure you deactivate everything and just review performance. See, was it better than last year? Was it worse? Try to understand why. Remember, you're playing the long game here, building this brand. And then kind of just anticipate, think about next year, what could I do better? Or what should I remove or add? And that's pretty much it. Now, if you're watching this and thinking this is exactly what I need, but I don't have the time to implement it, trust me, I get it. Q4 is the most hectic period of the year. I work with a limited number of 7 to 8 figure brands. What I do is I run up their Google ads. I'll optimize it, scale it, basically the whole workflow for Google ads I manage. Right now, I'm taking on a few more brands for this Q4 period because I know it's going to be very exciting for some of you guys that are interested to scale with Google ads during Q4. It's the best period to do so. This is me personally implementing this exact same system that I discussed in this video to your brand from A to Z. And this exact blueprint is what's generated me and many of my clients multiple 6 figures during Q4, and a bulk of that coming through the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. So if you're planning to spend serious money this Black Friday or just this Q4 period in general, definitely hit me up. The first link in the description, book a call. I'll do a free audit of a Google ad account and I'll do a roadmap call where we just go over what your Q4 looks like, and big emphasis on Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. Now remember, implementation needs to be done ASAP. Time is of essence right now because we're in Q4. So definitely don't wait on it. Don't sleep on it. This is the best time to scale up and make as much money as you can with your e-commerce brand. So like I said, book a call using the first link in the description below and let's get to it.